Guys, what's going on? And in today's video we're going to be talking about how the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have interviewed Eric Bieniemy for their upcoming head coaching position. Now, a lot of you guys have been asking about this guy, James. How has his offenses been? James, how does he do with running backs? And I'm here to tell you that this guy's offenses are pretty darn legit, going all the way back to his time in Colorado. In UCLA, things weren't as good, but then he went back to Colorado and did some good things. He went to the Kansas City Chiefs and did some phenomenal things, especially not just as the running back coach, but also as the offensive coordinator, and he also did some things with the Vikings as well. So let's get right into it. Taking a look first at his college career, and man, this guy's freaking running offenses in college were absolutely ridiculous, okay? In 2001, he had 228.5 rushing yards per game for Colorado, and in 2002, he had 232.8 rushing yards per game. More specifically, looking at the player Chris Brown, no, not the rapper, the football player, he had 1,841 yards to go along with 19 touchdowns. That's crazy, and that was in Eric Bieniemy's first 2 years of being a running backs coach, which is absolutely insane to me. Skipping his time with UCLA, because quite frankly that was not fun at all, and going to his time with the Minnesota Vikings, this guy's rushing attacks never were below rank 16 the entire time he was with the Minnesota Vikings. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, well, James, he had Adrian Peterson in his prime, and yeah, that's pretty darn good if you ask me, but still, you know, this guy's rushing attacks were still beastly. They were still just absolutely phenomenal, you know, regardless of the running back. You know, Eric Bieniemy was still in charge of the running backs. Maybe he helped Adrian Peterson get as good as he was during that time. Who's to say? I don't know. That's just me. That's just my thought into it. But, you know, regardless, his rushing attacks with the Minnesota Vikings were absolutely insane. It would translate into him going back to Colorado for a little bit, where he did some nice things as the offensive coordinator, and then he would go to the Kansas City Chiefs, and things would get crazy yet again. To go ahead and talk a little bit on his time with the Kansas City Chiefs as the running backs coach, not as the offensive coordinator. We will get to that. But as his time with the running backs coach for the few years that he was in that position before getting promoted, again, his rushing attacks did not rank less than 16th. In any category, be it touchdowns or rushing yards. They were usually top marks, top 15 at least. And that was with Jamal Charles, and in certain situations, guys like Charcandrick West and other running backs. You know, again, it's another situation where, you know, okay, he didn't have Adrian Peterson in his prime. He had Jamal Charles, which is a totally different running back, and he was still able to do some really nice things. Even when he didn't have Jamal Charles, things got better in certain statistical rushing categories for Eric Bieniemy and the Kansas City Chiefs. This guy can seemingly work with any kind of running back you give him, be it at the college level, be it at the professional level, which is a pretty good thing considering that the Buccaneers have possibly a need at running back. We'll see what happens. Le'Veon Bell's been linked to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which, oh god, I probably have to make a video on that, don't I? But, you know, you still have Ronald Jones there, you still have Peyton Barber. Those guys could really benefit from a head coach like Eric Bieniemy, who specializes in running backs. But it just isn't about his specialization in running backs, although that's a really big deal for this Buccaneers team. It also goes into his overall ability to be an offensive mastermind, okay? He was the offensive coordinator this year for the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know Andy Reid has a big part of it, but still Eric Bieniemy is another big part of it as well. And this year, you know, a lot of people said that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had a really good offense this year. A little bit, you know, they were very high up there in terms of yards, but in terms of points for, they were more at the average level. The Kansas City Chiefs were number one in both categories. They were number one in points scored in this league. They were number one in points scored for their offense, and they were number one in overall yardage for the offense as well. They were the best offense in the league, period. That's it. They were number one in points. They were number one in yards. They're the best offense. And Eric Bieniemy was a huge part of that. You know, Kareem Hunt, before all that crazy stuff happened with him, he was having a really nice year. He went away, and yes, you could say that things kind of dropped a little bit, but still, Eric Bieniemy, in a very short notice, was able to get some amazing play out of guys like Damian Williams, who, by the way, they re-signed him on a contract. He was doing so good. And another running back with the last name Williams, who I can't remember right now. Maybe it was Darian Williams. I can't remember. But anyway, regardless, he got some really nice play out of those two running backs that helped the Chiefs keep on winning games and keep on having this really explosive offense, which led them to, yet again, have one of the best rushing offenses in this league, not just in rushing yards, but in rushing touchdowns as well. This guy's really darn good at rushing attacks, and he's really darn good at running an offense. And I know what you're going to say is, James, what does all this matter? We had an offensive guy with Dirk Cutter and it didn't work out. The difference here, the big difference for me personally, is the type of offense that both these guys run. Dirk Cutter and Todd Monken, bless Todd Monken's soul. I think he's awesome. I hope he gets the head coaching job with the New York Jets. But they ran more of a deep, vertical style passing of offense. And it seems like Eric Bieniemy, for, you know, all the passing that Patrick Mahomes was doing and whatnot, it seems he can specialize more in running back. So you figure if he becomes the head coach of the Buccaneers, he's going to focus more on possibly a rushing attack, following it up with more play action type plays, which, you know, you've seen all the podcasts that Peter Cass, I'm sure, has talked about it. I know Justin Plowski has talked about it because I heard him talk about it. When Jameis Winston was at his best, it was with a strong rushing attack, following it up with play-action offense, where Jameis was thriving in his first year in the league. It seems like that if the Buccaneers were to get Eric Bieniemy, we could see that type of offense return, which would be really freaking good, because the Buccaneers offense, yeah, it might not have had the big, flashy yardage totals, but it was a pretty darn efficient offense, and that was without a lot of the weapons that we have on this team right now. Chris Godwin, I don't believe, was on the team at that time, nor was O.J. Howard, so whenever you factor those two guys into that offense as well, things could be really darn dangerous, and Eric Bieniemy would be at the helm of a pretty dangerous rushing attack and a pretty dangerous play action attack. But let me know what you guys think about this man down in the comment section below. What do you think about his ability to work with running backs, and how do you think that would affect the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, especially factoring guys like Peyton Barber, Ronald Jones, and the Buccaneers' connection to Le'Veon Bell, which I'm sure I'll have to talk about at some point during this offseason. Do you think it'll be good? Do you think it'll be bad? Maybe you think that Eric Bieniemy is a little bit overrated, considering he was with the Kansas City Chiefs and Eric Reid, who is literally an offensive mastermind. Let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section below. I'm going to be having a few more videos coming out tonight talking about the other interviews that the Buccaneers have scheduled, as well as a certain man who is a finalist for the NFL Hall of Fame. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope y'all enjoyed, and as always, I'll see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.